running down the half mark. He reels it in at the 15. Cooper Kupp has the catch.
The greatest D tackle ever right here.
It's good. Mike Williams with the grab.
Feeling fresh as hell.
Chargers lead 29-28. The Trojans have won the Rose Bowl.
There he goes. Kashmir Allen, 2 long receiving touchdowns, and now a kick return touchdown. This day belongs to Kaz.
You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
Welcome back to Radio Row. This is Will Decker, your host, with Rye or Die, Ryan Dyrud in the house. We got some special people today here from Pat Tillman's foundation, the Pat Tillman Foundation as a whole. I'm an Arizona State grad, so this hit me right in my feels. I was about 11 years old when Pat Tillman, we found out he had passed away, and, really the hero that he was. He gave up everything on the football field, stardom, money, everything that comes with the perks of being an NFL player to serve this country in the highest manner. And I'm just so honored to have you guys today. Jake Plummer, former quarterback in the house. We got Dan here from the Pat Tillman Foundation. Can you guys just tell me about what Pat Tillman Foundation is doing in the community and how we can make it an impact for everybody listening?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us on here. This is great being here in Phoenix. It'll be great being here in Glendale on Sunday. The Pat Tillman Foundation was started in April 2004 by Marie Tillman and friends and family of Pat's. And one of our board members says, actually they didn't start it, Pat started it, by the way that he lived his life and how he treated people. Over the last 19 years, we support veterans and military spouses who are going back to school with educational scholarships and leadership development. And so when we select the top 3% of applicants, veterans and military spouses, to be Tillman Scholars, they're a Tillman Scholar for life. And so we have a really, really strong community of over 800 now who are working in law and policy and business and education and the arts and healthcare in a variety of different fields, but all of them believe that they haven't yet done the biggest thing they're going to do in their life. And they're trying to support each other as they're doing it. So that's our foundation. That's who we are. Chances are a lot of your listeners probably may even know a Tillman Scholar out there. If they know a veteran or military spouse, tell them to apply. The application's open right now through February 28th.
It's such a cool idea to just give them that outlet when they return home, because we've heard so many horror stories of, PTSD for, all the right reasons. You're out there in the scariest situations in combat, that are, humanly possible. It's such a great thing you guys are doing. Was this something that Pat had, told his wife Marie about, or was this something that they, kind of agreed upon before you returned home, that this was, the right path for, their foundation to get started?
Yeah, to my knowledge, there was not a conversation about this sort of thing before Pat was killed in Afghanistan. But when he was killed, he had lived a life that inspired so many already. We didn't start this foundation because he died. This foundation was started because he lived.
Exactly.
And so people came together and said, "Hey, how do we honor this legacy in a way that's meaningful and that's true to who he was?" And they came up with this. And I'll say too, you talk about kind of post-traumatic stress and the experiences that a lot of veterans have had. I was selected as a Tillman Scholar myself in 2011 and deployed over a 5-year Army career. A lot of our veterans will come back with post-traumatic stress or whatever else they might have to deal with in their lives. And we talk about that. As a community, we talk about that. We support each other in all the ways. But I'll say too that our veterans and military spouses are assets in any community that they find themselves in. And our role is to help them fill any gaps that they might have, to help them grow any places where maybe they need to grow, but also to really maximize their impact. And so there's an asset-based perspective instead of a deficit-based perspective to thinking about veterans and military spouses that is really strong in our community. That doesn't mean veterans don't need help. It means, hey, get the help, but then what are you doing? What are you doing next? Because you could have a big impact in whatever community you're in.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your service. I was unaware that you did serve. How have you seen this organization grow in the last 11 years? One of the things that I've heard about, I'm from the Scottsdale area, now in the LA area, Pat's Run has taken over the country. You guys are doing it in so many different cities. How have you seen it grow? And tell me about Pat's Run, man.
Yeah, so Pat's Run, April 15 this year.
Yeah.
Pat's Run, if you've been sleeping in Arizona for the last 10 years, 20 years, it's a 4.2-mile run that ends on the 42-yard line in Sun Devil Stadium. We have about 30,000 people that do it every year, and that's really what funds our scholarships. Over 18 years, we've given out $24 million to our 800 Tillman Scholars. And that's in scholarship support and leadership development support. That happens only because people show up to have fun on a Saturday, to bring their family, to push a stroller, to get to know each other and just have some good human-to-human contact. PatsRun.org is the place to go, or superbowl.ptf.org to learn more about PTF.
Well, Pat, as Pat would say, get off their ass and go do something.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Well, you played with Pat throughout your entire college career. I mean, you talk about a guy that lived every day like it was his last. Do you remember the first time you met Pat? You know, as someone at ASU, what was because he strikes me as the most confident person, as somebody that sees him from afar. Was he always that confident? And when you saw him,
yeah, he was a recruit, came in on a recruiting visit, and the recruits would come in, and I was always one of the guys that would go to see who was coming in, and he was taking a knee, wearing some just like khaki pants, nothing special, and he just like checking everybody out, looking around the room, and that was my first time seeing him, and then getting to meet him. It was like, oh, this kid's got a lot of the similarities to me. Undersized, playing defense, isn't supposed to be here. Too slow. All these things that he dealt with that I kind of dealt with myself too. So we were very kindred spirits. And once you stepped on the field with him and saw how he went about working hard and playing the game that he loved, like I did, we were even deeper connected because. We both went 100%, whether we were playing practice or playing in the game. It was still just what we did. We loved it. We went hard. So my first memories of him were great. And funny story about him with his freshman year up at Camp Tonazona, Bruce Snyder would sit down with the recruits, the freshmen, and he would say, hey, I think you're doing really well. We want to not redshirt you. Are you open to that? You can go right onto the field, or we're going to redshirt you. And they were going to redshirt Pat. And Bruce said, we want to redshirt you. And he said, well, if you do, you're only going to get me for 3 years because I'm out of here in 4. And he's like, and Pat said, I wouldn't redshirt me if I were you because I can help this team. And it's like, who does that to the head coach? But that was Pat. So his first impression on a lot of us was someone who was just in it and wanted to win, wanted to go hard, and he was going to be right there with you whenever you needed him.
And he sounds like a legendary teammate from everything I've gathered too. I mean, I watched The Football Life. It was one of the best documentaries they put out, where I guess one teammate was on the Cardinals. He was taped to the goalpost. It was like a rookie hazing things. And he goes, give me some scissors, and he cut it down, and nobody challenged him when he brought it in as a rookie, doing that to his fellow rookie. Like, who does that in the NFL too? I mean, we're talking about it at college level. Just a legendary
figure. He went to one of our fullbacks, blew his knee out. In fact, Pat hit him, and when he hit him, he blew his knee out, Cedric Smith. And when Ced came out of surgery and was in the room, Pat was one of the first guys to come see him and say, hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that. Like there's love there. It's just I was playing football. And so, yeah, Pat did what was right. He did it right.
He did what was right. I think that's a great way to put it for Pat Tillman. And, you guys have helped out so many different veterans over the years. Are there certain stories that stand out to you more than others when it comes to the veterans that you guys have been able to assist with this wonderful foundation that Pat and his family have started?
Yeah, sure. We've got a lot of veterans who are doing just meaningful work in the world. I'll share one with you named Ali Nayef, who is he was born in Iraq. His family's Iraqi, and he met U.S. service members early in the war, in the Iraq War, and he was a child. He was maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, and he and his family eventually left Iraq, came to the U.S., and he joined the U.S. Army, and initially was an interpreter, and then was supporting the U.S. effort and deployed, and that's a guy who. That life story to meet U.S. service members in a circumstance that's not pleasant for anybody, for the U.S. or the Iraqis that were there, and to say, I'm inspired by these Americans who are in my country, and I want some more of that. That touches me a lot. We have another scholar who named Safi Rauf, who is Afghani. And he similar kind of story, and these was for whatever reason, maybe because I deployed and I had an interpreter myself, and I knew what that life was like for him. And this guy Safi, he as the U.S. left Afghanistan, was working his tail off to get people out of harm's way. Yeah. In August, about a year and a half ago now, he stayed in Afghanistan, created a nonprofit, stayed in Afghanistan. To get people out. Eventually was captured by the Taliban and was held hostage for 100 days. until the current administration was able to get him out with a couple others, and he's still getting at it. We have another scholar, Kim Young, who West Point grad. She gets out, goes to school, and she says, "Hey, I want to find a way." She had deployed to Afghanistan as a female engagement team member, and what that was the U.S. military's effort to really leverage women in combat in a way that had not been done before, in a culture where it was not appropriate for men to be doing all the work. If you're interrogating, asking questions, whatever. And she came home and she said, "How do I support the people that I met there in Afghanistan?" She started a company called Rumi Spice, which was taking saffron grown in Afghanistan by people who would otherwise be growing poppy seed, convince them to grow saffron, and would then export it from Afghanistan and bring it to top-end restaurants in the U.S.
Wow.
And created a market for it that paid the right amount to Afghan farmers and helped them to do something that they otherwise would not have been able to do. And these stories are common in our scholar community. Scholars are people who, again, they believe they haven't done the biggest thing, but even more than that, they're people who, again, I didn't know Pat, but who have lived a habit of running towards the fire, running towards the problem. Where's the problem? And a lot of people that react to that first instinct that we all have is like, "Oh man, I need to get out of harm's way." Tillman scholars are people that say, "Hey, how do I make a difference? Because this is an inflection point. This is where I can make a difference," and scholars are getting after it. Those are just a couple stories, and there are plenty more.
I love it, man. And before we close, how can we help as just people that just want to help out the Pat Tillman Foundation? Arizona State grad, is someone that idolizes Pat Tillman for what he brought to the community. I want to be able to help and contribute. What can we do to make this happen?
Sure. First thing I say, go to superbowl.ptf.org.
Yeah.
PTF, Pat Tillman Foundation, so superbowl.ptf.org. There's a variety of different ways to help on that site. You can run Pat's Run and feel what it feels like for that community to come together on April 15 in Tempe. You could learn more about our Tillman scholars. You can share the application with veterans and military spouses, or if you're so motivated, you could donate to the foundation. We all the funds that come to us, we're maximum ranking and Charity Navigator and Guide Star and all the things that show you that we're doing the right thing with the funds that we receive. But all that goes to support our scholars, their scholarships and leadership development. So superbowl.ptf.org.
Man,
I got one football question before we get you out of here. Love what you guys are doing. We'll do whatever we can with LAFB back in LA to help out and support. But I grew up in Denver, big Bronco fan. Jake, love watching you play, and my parents are huge fans. I told them, I was like, "Jake Plummer's here." You got to get him on. We got to hear about it. If you're playing today, how many yards you're throwing for? Because your game in today's NFL, you're throwing for 6,000, rushing for 1,000. I feel.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care one bit about how many yards. I just want to win this bad boy and retire. And say peace. That was what I wanted to do in 05. I was hoping we could get there, and I had plans to be done after 9 after that, because that's what I wanted, was a Super Bowl ring. And the game's a hard game on the body and the mind and the spirit. So this is an exciting Super Bowl, though. The two quarterbacks are pretty dynamic. In fact, they're very dynamic, and their teams really thrive off of their energy and what they bring to the field as leaders. And both teams believe wholeheartedly they will win with these guys behind center, and then other leaders also. But those two figures, the QBs are big. So this style of game would be super fun to play in. But I still got some of my own in like that when I was running around. But to have it be so many options to run, throw, run again, or throw, it would have been a lot of fun, and my game would have suited it. But the game evolves and new players step up. So I'm excited to see what these two young kids can do on the big stage. Patrick's been there. He's not that young anymore by NFL standards, but now Jalen Hurts is definitely a youngster coming up. It's going to be excited to see what fun stuff they show us they can do.
You guys got any predictions for the final score? Nothing?
I do.
What's your final score prediction?
I love playing in Philly. So Philly was a great place to go get a cheesesteak sandwich at Pat's, with, and then go play. I had some comebacks in that stadium. My first live action was in Philly, Old Veterans Stadium, on the 2-yard line. Took the team 98 and scored. That was just the eye of the tiger, though, coming out of me, as Larry Sanders said in the huddle. But so the eye of the tiger is going to come out on Sunday, and Jalen's going to get the ball back last, and it's going to be 28-27. He'll have about a little over a minute to go, and he's going to lead him down to score. The only thing is, Jalen, listen here, you can't leave any time on the clock because if
Yes.
Patrick gets another chance, he's probably going to go down and get a field goal, so it could be 30-28 also. But I'm going with 28-27
seconds or
Philly.
less.
Yeah, and
seconds
Philly's a
or
great
less.
sports city.
Oh, yeah.
Great sports city.
Will loves
they,
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they know how
I
to
don't
do
know
it.
about that, but yeah, no, Philly is
Got a lot of love for Philly.
Philly. They are very passionate fans.
Oh,
they
yeah.
crossed the line a few times, but like
Really? You've heard? Yeah.
I've had some interactions.
Yeah, me
there,
too.
Yeah, with some Philly fans as well. You probably got it
Oh
worse
yeah,
than anybody.
oh
but
yeah, it was great though.
We just
man.
want to
They were
thank you
creative.
guys for coming on, man. Like, you guys are great people. You guys are with a great foundation, and I wish you guys nothing but success. We'll help in any way we can. So thank you guys so much for coming on. Yeah.
Thank you both.
Awesome.